I was in a relatively good mood, a chipper mood this morning as I watched the squirrels play outside and drank my coffee. But it was brought to my attention via Nick Monroe and Ian Miles Chong that employees of CD Projekt Red are both facing being doxxed and having levels of harassment both in real life and online over this damn tweet. The mob seems out the ready for any opportunity to feel offended on somebody else's behalf. And new reporting in this morning, which I'm going to go over, is pretty disturbing. Now, before I get into it, I feel like everybody has a little different definition of doxing. Here's what mine is. If you go out of your way to share information that that person doesn't want you to share about their location or name or, things like that, it's probably not good. You should probably have a really strong reason to do so. So while somebody may not go out of their way to be anonymous on the internet, linking to their personal information or personal bios or LinkedIn pages and things like that, to me, is probably what I would call light doxing. It is an intimidation tactic done for one sole purpose, and that is to silence and shame somebody. So I don't have a lot of time for people who want to argue about what doxing is, or was it really doxing, or while their information was out there on the internet, all you had to do was do 3 Google searches, and then that's fine for you to go out and find that information on your own. But when you post it to a website like this game journalism website, Rock, Paper, Shotgun, or prominent screeching far left video game forum Reset Era, you are doxing somebody, in my opinion, because it's about your intent. Your intent is to intimidate and shame them. Somebody's personal location or their family's location has nothing to do with being upset about a tweet, and it is completely unacceptable in terms of how I define things. So last night I saw a tweet from Nick Monroe showing that Rock, Paper, Shotgun puts games industry employee in harm's way by linking to the employee's personal information. Whether or not this qualifies as dox varies from person to person, which is why I led with that. That came out because of targeted harassment campaign by Reset Era. I have confirmed that tweet does, or that this article does in fact link to this person's information. Look, it's not relevant to the argument, so I'm not going to show it. It's just not. It's stupid. Again, it's about intimidation. So Rock, Paper, Shotgun puts out this article on a tweet that I covered the other day for GOG.com and indirectly CD Projekt Red, having the audacity to not respect the ownership of a hashtag. Now, of course, nobody owns a hashtag, but now the mob is after CD Projekt Red to terminate people, fire people. Well, not from GOG directly. It feels related that a comment in August, Cyberpunk 2077 Twitter responded to an innocuous comment with a, quote, transphobic meme. It was a, did you just assume our gender meme? If you don't know, GOG and Cyberpunk are linked via owner CD Projekt Red, which is important for the shame hierarchy. One of these tweets could be explained as a stupid mistake, twice as concerning, but thrice suggests intent. The suggestion that has been firmed up by some internet detectives, now that links to this person's personal information on GOG's social media manager, including articles they've written in the past. GOG's non-apology response, by the way, hell yeah, GOG, you can address the situation, which they did. They came out and said basically, hey, look, GOG.com is about video games. We should keep it about video games. That's our promise to you. That's a fine response. You don't have anything to apologize for. In fact, angering NPCs is a solid marketing tactic in the current year, in my opinion. But then if you go to the longer, more in-depth article, this one by Ian Miles Chung, covering kind of the nexus or the entire journey. I mean, of these 3 horrendous tweets where somebody dared to make a joke, and the apology that was deemed by social justice hate mob as, quote, basic, I mean, not quote, but not good enough, by saying, sorry to all those offended by one of the responses sent out from our account earlier, harming anyone was never intended. That was the first tweet. Then we have the classic games hashtag won't be erased on our watch, clearly talking about the fact that they sell retro or classic video games and they're keeping them around. Now, unless you are, balls deep in the current socio-political climate at this time, that hashtag was trending over some Drumpf vs SJW arguments about whether or not there are more than 2 genders. Nobody cared about it. It was just the use of a popular hashtag. It wasn't transphobic. And Ian recognizes this by saying, if you aren't politically active, you probably have no idea what hashtag won't be erased refers to. Like so many other trending hashtags, it looked like one of those everyday normie hashtags that people tweet into and post jokes or references. So it's difficult for any sane human being to fault the social media manager at CD Projekt Red and GOG for thinking it was anything but political. As it turns out, it was a political hashtag opposing some new kerfuffle over Drumpf. The tweet was pretty straightforward. It lasted for about a minute and was promptly deleted, no doubt after the social media manager realized it was political. But it was long enough time for the hyper-vigilant moral squad to take screenshots of it and start yet another thread on Reset Era, once again accusing the company of bigotry. This led to a new round of abuse directed towards GOG and CD Projekt Red with loud vocal attempts to get the entire team fired. We have a large assortment of tweets demanding the termination. I wouldn't even call it a mistake. Hashtags don't belong to anyone. They're opted and co-opted by anyone and everyone who uses Twitter as a public platform. The company, as it stands, has no reason to apologize. An administrator on Reset Era, who goes by the name of Hecht_Era, an account that has been tied to a prominent account on the website, took it upon himself to dox a CD Projekt Red social media manager on Reset Era by publicly releasing all manner of personal information, including his family's whereabouts and private phone number. He was just one of several doxers who actively pursued CD Projekt Red employees, several of whom independently posted docs and instructions on how to intimidate the employees. Posting on Twitter, Hecht, who has posted rants about the NPC meme, complained about CD Projekt Red and took credit for his participation in outing the CDPR employees in a series of now privated tweets. But the harassment hasn't stopped, as it never does. I've been informed that employees of the company are facing a barrage of abuse, both online and offline, over the tweets, some of which is directed towards their families. In response to the controversy, GOG and CD Projekt Red have not issued an apology, and please don't. This time around, perhaps recognizing that the harassment campaigns have simply escalated to a point where they are being targeted over pretty much anything, and the company has instead issued a statement simply saying, posting a tweet containing a trending hashtag is a pun. The tweet was neither intended as a malicious attack nor a comment on the ongoing social political debate. I also want to point out the irony of the fact that these are the same. Oh yeah, this is interesting. Who brings it up? He brings his point up, and I want to finish on that. These are the very same people demanding the termination of a social media manager who apparently has the horrendous crime of either making a joke or not knowing what exactly every single hashtag is used for. They want this man fired over a tweet. Isn't that interesting? These are the same people that have lost their minds over Jessica Price, the Guild Wars 2 game developer who attacked the fandom, getting fired. These are the very same people who got outraged over Chuck Wendig, who attacked the fans via Twitter, getting terminated from the Star Wars comic book. So apparently termination over tweets is like many things to these hate mobs, a fluid definition, as you might use that term aptly. If it's for their cause, termination over tweets is absolutely something that should be on the table. If it's one of their own, then that person absolutely should not be terminated over their tweets, especially when they're attacking the customers and fans. I mean, attacking your own customers, attacking the fandom, to me, is pretty different than making an off-color joke, a joke that nobody was offended by, a joke that was as normy as they come, to be honest with you. And it also very well could have just been a mistake. Yet people are getting doxxed, harassed, online and offline by what would appear to be mostly coming from games journalists and hate mobs that find homes on forums like Reset Era. I don't know. I've said this many times before, and it still stands true. As soon as these companies start ignoring these outrage mobs, which hopefully we're starting to see here with GOG and CD Projekt Red, the better. Take the power away. They have no right to your company's personal employee information. They have no right to make demands of companies that they almost assuredly do not purchase any real items from. These are moral busybodies. These are pearl clutchers who see people's personal information as a tactic to control people, to intimidate people. And that's kind of the lowest of the low, in my opinion. It's a cowardly thing to do. And if people are taking part in that, even passively, for example, Reset Era, allowing it without banning members for doing it, they are complicit. If games journalism websites like Rock, Paper, Shotgun links to the information, they are complicit. And as somebody who has had physical harm brought to them, someone they didn't know, somebody they didn't ever interact with, but somebody who disliked their opinions online, at what point, if something happens to this employee on the street because some crazy takes the law into their own hands, so to speak, who's really at fault here? Is there going to be any liability for Reset Era or Rock, Paper, Shotgun? Is there going to be any liability for these people who are posting developers' personal information, employees of CD Projekt Red's families' locations, phone numbers? What point will there be some liability for that? I think, personally, there should be. Now, the letter of the law is not on my side, and maybe I'm wrong, but I admit my own bias after having been attacked physically in real life by someone who didn't like my internet opinions. I guess I'm a little bit skittish about it. But these men are men and women are cowards, losers, and the sooner people stop bending the knee to them, the better. And I'm really, really hoping that CD Projekt Red and GOG can kind of set the tone here and tell them to go pound sand. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again later on a live stream with the CEO of Minds.com. You don't want to miss that. Talk to you again real soon. Man, I fucked up that outro.